This is the new Kia EV3 and is newly released on the European market, and today we're testing range, cabin noise, but also the charging. Welcome to It's Only Electric. Let's start. This Kia EV3 is a GT line, top spec version. That means it has the big battery pack, 81.4 kilowatts, with a net capacity of 78 kilowatts. So it should have a VLTP of 605 kilometers. But this car, the GT line, is spec'd with 19-inch wheels, which takes down the range to approximately 563 kilometers of VLTP range. But we will see about that a little bit later in the video. The EV3 measures 4.3 meters in length, 2.7 meters between the two axles, and it weighs approximately 1.9 tons. It's front-wheel drive with a permanent magnet motor on the front axle that has 204 horsepower and 283 newton meters of torque. It should be able to do 0 to 100 in 7.9 seconds. The EV3 has its charge port on the front right fender. It supports 11 kilowatts of AC charging and 128 kilowatts of DC charging, and it should be able to do 10 to 80% in 31 minutes. We will see about that later. And this is for the big battery pack. When it comes to the wheels, it's 19-inch 215/50 Pirelli winter tires. Now I'm doing the range test. The distance of this range test is a fixed route, so it's 80 kilometers. And it's mixed speed between 50 up to 110 kilometers per hour. We also have a couple of set rules. Always stick to the speed limit to keep it consistent, of course, and abiding by the laws. Another rule is to put the car in eco mode, if there is one. So I'm driving right now in eco mode. Last one is air conditioning. So air conditioning is set to 20 degrees. And driver only to make it as efficient as possible. And this car is beeping at me at all times. So it beeps one time every time the speed changes. So if it goes from 80 to 70, it beeps one time. And if you're driving 2-3 kilometers too fast, it beeps a couple of times. If you're not looking straight ahead, it's enough if I'm looking a little bit to the right or a little bit to the left. It's beeping at me again, gets mad. And if I'm driving with my hand like this, I'm blocking the camera here. And when I'm blocking the camera for too long, it will start beeping again. But there is solutions for this. It's actually pretty easy, so that's good. So the first one to change the speed limit warning is to just press the volume knob for a couple of seconds. And it will pop up a message, speed limit warning sound is off. The other one's a little bit harder, but it's still pretty easy. You press the setup button, now it's beeping again. Press the setup button and then you go into vehicle and driver assistance. And here you have speed limit, and this one we press turn off. And then we go back. So we turn off the speed limit. And then we have the driver attention warning system. Probably doing too much with the cameras and with the screen, so it's beeping at me all the time, as I said. But here we have forward attention warning system. So we turn off this one, most of the beeps are gone, and it's a lot more pleasant to drive the car. So I have just passed middle mark of the road, like 40 kilometers. The average consumption is 18.6 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers, which is fairly good. I haven't done these tests as my brother has, so I don't know the numbers as good as he does, but it should be a real good long-range car. Keep in mind it's mild winter conditions, so that also affects the range, and also the 19-inch wheels. See you soon. So generally, I must say I'm pretty surprised of this car. My brother has already done the full review, so he will give you more information about that. Look at that one if you want to know more about the car in general. Pretty silent, comfortable, soft suspension. Maybe it's a little bit too soft suspension, but the one that buys this car will not think that this car is like too comfortable or like leaning too much. For me, it's a little bit too soft, but I understand why it is. And the suspension is like really silent. You don't have any miss sounds or anything, so it's a really good car. I'm on the highway, and I must say I really like this cruise control. This is how it should be implemented for a lot of cars, or like all the cars should have a similar cruise control function and how you use it or activate it. You just have like two buttons you need to have focus on. One is the adaptive cruise control. You press that and it adapts for the speed you're currently driving, and you just press up and down, hold it up and goes up 10 kilometers per hour in steps, or press one per time. And then you have the button below is distance between the cars in front. You just press that and it's I think it's 4 steps. Yeah, 4 steps. And to the right of that you have the lane keep assist, and it's a steering wheel with 2 lines, and it keeps the car really good. Like you just have these 3 buttons up and down. It's like self-explanatory. Like everyone should understand how to use this. It's one of the easiest ones to understand. You can jump in from another car, play around 5 minutes, and you should understand how this car works, especially like the cruise control, the lane keep assist, everything. So I really like this function and how it is implemented. It's great work, Kia. So this car has lane keep assist, but it can also change lanes. So if you put on the blinkers, you will see on the heads up display a green line, and it changes lane for you, and then it keeps the lane. It works really good. It's a lot better than much more expensive cars than this one, to be honest, and it's really easy to use. As I said before, like you don't have to think how to use many things. I just found out that it could change lanes just by doing it. I haven't read it, to be honest. So it surprised me, but it works really good. I like it. I like it a lot. So I have just finished the range and consumption, the cabin noise test, and also the charging test. Let's start with the range and consumption test. So the EV3 averaged 19.2 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers, which is fairly high, to be honest. I was expecting around 18.5, 18.8 maybe. But with the 19.2, that equates to 406 kilometers of range with 100% battery. And that is 72% of the stated VLTP range, which, as I said, is a little bit disappointing. But keep in mind, this is with a mild winter condition. It was 2 degrees outside, and this is the GT line with 19-inch wheels, which makes the consumption a lot higher. So I don't know why the consumption was that high, because I was sticking to the speed limitations of the roads, as we always do. I was driving in eco mode and also had the climate at 20 degrees, only driver. It was actually pretty cold for me. I was freezing in the last bit, or maybe Kia is a little bit optimistic with the range figures. But 406 kilometers of real range is pretty decent still, especially if you consider the price of the vehicle. Let's move on to the noise test. We always put a microphone on the headrest of the passenger side to get a reading at ear height. We always also close the sunshade if it's available to get a better acoustic in the car. And we have a set route, a road that we always drive on, and we drive at 50, 70, 90 and 110 kilometers per hour. So this car did pretty decent in the noise test of the average of all the speeds. So it was just below the ID3, the Zeekr X and the Renault Megane. It was a little bit better than the Mercedes EQA. The interesting thing is, at higher speeds the EV3 was actually on par with the Nissan Ariya, BMW iX3 and also the ID4, which all are a lot bigger cars, which is pretty interesting. And this car is equipped with double glazed windows, so acoustic windows. And overall, like, the dampening is really soft and quiet. So I think all of these contribute to a lower cabin noise. and the sound in this car are really pleasant. It actually feels quieter than it is. Let's move on to the last bit, which is charging. I charge the car from 10 to 80%, and fortunately this car has manual preheating, which is really good, but it only works down to 12%, I think it was. But still, it really helps when it's cold weather and you don't navigate to the charger with the built-in navigation. So if you're a more advanced user, you should know approximately when to preheat the car manually, which can help in many situations to get better charging curves. In theory, this car should be able to charge from 10 to 80% in 31 minutes with a peak speed of 128 kilowatts. And I was there, max speed I saw was 127 kilowatts, and the time it took was 31 minutes and 40 seconds, so 40 seconds off. But keep in mind, this is with 2 degrees outside. That could have affected it, and I couldn't preheat the battery the last 4%, so maybe that's why. The strange thing that the peak, the 127 kilowatt, was at like 50 or 52% or something, which is pretty late. The charging curve is really flat, as you will see on the screen. It was holding up to 120 kilowatts until 64%, and after 64% it was 110 up to 72%, and then it dropped down to 70 kilowatts until 78%, and the last bit it dropped even more to like 55 or 58 kilowatts. But still, it's a really flat charging curve and a pretty decent time, because when you think about 128 kilowatts, it feels really slow because the battery is pretty large. 78 kilowatts of usable battery is pretty big battery with 128 kilowatts of charging. But still, it managed pretty decent time. 31 minutes and 40 seconds is not very good, but it's still decent. If you don't compare it to like a Zeekr 7X or something, but that car is crazy, or even the Porsche Taycan, which is also a crazy charging car. But I digress. So to conclude everything, the Kia EV3 is a really good car. It would actually be one of my top picks in this segment. It's not the most fun car or the most interesting looking car. I don't even like the looks that much, especially from the outside. But I actually saw one that was fully black, like blacked out. That one looked really good. I don't like all these angles and things, especially when it's contrasting colors, because it's black and it's gray and different colors, and it gets too much with all the lines. But when the car was blacked out, it was actually pretty cool. The interior is good, the quality is good, the cabin noise is better than I expected. The suspension is really soft, maybe a tad bit too soft, but still, it's a comfortable car. Yeah, of course, I wish it was rear wheel drive instead of front wheel drive. I wish it had like 50 horsepower extra, and I wish it was 800 volt system with a couple of minutes faster charging. Maybe that will come up in an updated version. But overall, it's a really good car, and it will be one of my top picks in this segment. It's not as fun looking as the Zeekr X, but you have the Kia brand behind you. You have the 7-year warranty, and Kia as a brand gives me a lot of confidence that it will be working in a couple of years, and I think the second-hand market would like these cars a lot. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. I know I'm not my brother. I don't have the same experience in reviewing cars and filming, but I hope I did a decent job at least. Please comment down below what you think about the car and how I could improve my filming and reviewing the cars. Please subscribe and share this video, and as we always say, stay electric. It was actually on par with the ID4 and what more? Cheerios! Hey Google, nej, stop recording.